Hi, I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture. Kristen Oaks-White will join us a little bit later in the show. Earlier this month, the House Committee on Agriculture announced a roadmap to address labor issues on farms. One plan in that roadmap is to re-examine wage calculations, which could be much-needed relief to farmers who have had to cut back on their workforce. TWILA's Josh Meeks visited one farm in Ascension Parish to see how labor struggles have a domino effect.
Things seem quiet right now on these 6,000 acres at Palo Alto, Inc. because all the work is happening behind the scenes.
It's wet. We had about an inch and a half of rain, so most of what we're doing is maintenance.
When not out planting, fertilizing, or maintaining fields of cane, beans, and cattle, the staff here is making sure equipment is in prime working order. The same can be said for the workers. Palo Alto Inc.'s president, Bubba Lehman, doesn't see the H-2A labor program as a supplied workforce. Here, their family. That was an investment they committed to when Lehman visited his workers' families in their home village.
I've got a crew of about 10 guys, and of the 10, all of them except for one are related in some kind of way, come from the same village.
Palo Alto is fortunate. Lehman hasn't had to cut any of his workers due to the ever-climbing adverse effect wage rate. While it was initially designed to protect H-2A workers, the rules regulating the wage rate, as well as the rate itself, has priced out some farmers.
I heard from farmers and ranchers all over the country at the Labor Advisory Committee with American Farm Bureau that they have some of their workers that return every year, their H-2A workers, that are asking them, like, are you going to be able to continue to get us to come to work with the wage going that high? And I mean, the answer for some of them is no. They're having to cut down their workforce and just figure out how to do these jobs or, downsize their farm.
Katie Ramagos Nunez is the chair of the Louisiana Farm Bureau Labor Advisory Committee. She's seen firsthand how the adverse effect wage rate has been a double-edged sword.
It's supposed to be designed to where U.S. workers are not adversely affected by the H-2A program. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions when we go to D.C. to talk about H-2A and particularly the wage. There's not a U.S. workforce that are vying for these jobs.
Nunez says there is hope in a recent report by the House Committee on Agriculture, a bipartisan group that's recognizing the current program isn't sustainable.
It really is positive to see that we're on some kind of path to maybe at least getting around to the topic of making some substantial changes to the H-2A program.
Back at Palo Alto, Bubba Lehman recognizes his good fortune with not having to tell workers he can't hire them. But he also knows that no single farm exists in a silo. Any impact to his neighbors will eventually be felt here.
In the Louisiana sugar industry, the mills are responsible for hauling the crop. So when you affect the mill, you affect all the growers that ship to a mill, and it upsets the balance of the relationship between the mill and the growers. When they have to pay these exorbitant wage rates, that's really not in the spirit of what of the intent of this program is.
Now, the House Ag Committee's roadmap is just that, a roadmap. It's still going to take time and more work to get from point A to point B. Reporting from Ascension Parish for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, I'm Josh Meeks.
We'll continue to follow developments on the H-2A labor issue as it comes out of Congress. Ranchers in the Texas Panhandle are now having to care for cattle injured in the Smokehouse Creek fire. That fire alone burned more than 1 million acres and killed upwards of 10,000 head of cattle, according to the Texas Tribune. That's why Tri-Parish Co-op in Slaughter, Louisiana is organizing a donation drive to help ranchers affected by the fire. The plan is to ship a truckload of protein tubs like these, along with T-posts, barbed wire, and other fencing supplies on April 8th. Tri-Parish Co-op General Manager Alton Boone says this is just returning the favor from when Texas ranchers helped out folks in Louisiana after the 2016 floods.
I cannot only imagine what they're fighting and what they're struggling with right now, and they lost everything because most of those people out in the Panhandle, that's their livelihood. They've been doing it for 60 plus years, some of them, and that's all they know, and to lose everything with a fire is just devastating, and knowing that we're trying our best to help them ease that pain, it makes me feel good.
Tri-Parish Co-op organized a similar donation drive for Texas in 2019. To make a donation, visit our website at twilatv.org. Tri-Parish is hoping to receive all donations by April 5th.
if you get a chance to go, you need to go because it is a learning experience. You have your own practices that you do at home, but at least you can come down here and see people's other practices, maybe learn something to take back home with you.
Nick Smith is one of 25 farmers and ranchers who traveled to Florida for the 2024 Louisiana Farm Bureau Livestock Advisory Committee Beef Tour. He joined the chorus of high praise for the trip and encourages his friends and neighbors across the state to get involved and join the next trip like this. Now, direct sales, adapting practices, a little ingenuity, strong support from a spouse. These are all pretty common ingredients that make up many farms and ranches in Louisiana. TWILA's Karl Wiggers shows us why a visit to Quincy Cattle Company in Chiefland, Florida really stood out to many on the trip.
Cattle for as far as the eye can see. To these producers from Louisiana, that is a sight to behold. Don Quincy is the owner of Quincy Cattle Company in Chiefland, Florida, which has evolved a lot over the years.
We started out as a small cow-calf herd, grew to doing backgrounding for people all over the country, expanded into developing heifers for ranches and developing bulls for seed stock producers, and eventually started feeding out cattle for different programs.
One of those programs really caught the attention of Mitch Marsalis, a cattleman from Northwest Louisiana. He says he's planning to go home and implement some of these things he's learned on this visit.
Every one of these tours that I've been on, I've been able to carry something back and utilize that information in either in my production on the cattle or the hay production, even some of our timber production. Trying to find those commodities that are close to the house that we can use to mix feed for our calves. But the parallelism that I saw with him on a much smaller level was we started our meat label during COVID the same time he did.
And it was tough, especially in the beginning, because we didn't know much about what we were doing. It took a lot to learn, and my wife, Donna, was instrumental in really getting that thing on its legs and understanding what we had to do and the marketing and understanding the yields out of these carcasses and how that was so important to the bottom line. But it has become an integral part of our business.
Quincy says closing the gap between the farm and the consumer is key to his business. Shortening that supply chain has led to maximizing profits on this ranch. This direct-to-consumer approach changed the game for Marsalis.
That business has grown for us in the fact that we were able to put it in the consumer during COVID when they couldn't get it at the grocery store. They were willing to try that fresh local beef, and we're able to sell all the animals we can get processed.
Profits aside, Quincy says the added benefit to this business structure is their ability to show consumers exactly where their food comes from.
We're proud of what we do. We're proud of how we do it. And, and we find that a lot of people this day and time have a real interest in knowing more about their food that's going into this. So we're happy to give them that experience.
In Chiefland, Florida, I'm Karl Wiggers for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
You can shop online for all kinds of products from Quincy Cattle Company, ranging from beef jerky to a side of beef, individual cuts of beef, and even the seasoning to cook it with. We'll link you to all of that on our website at twilatv.org. But you don't really have to go that far to find great beef. You can find that at your local farmers market. There are lots of Louisiana ranchers who sell directly to consumers. You can also find them online. Take a look at our website, twilatv.org. I think you'll be able to find a few. Another stop on the beef tour had very little to do with prized bulls, but there were definitely some winner's circle horses at Woodside Ranch. Brian Rice hosted the group at the stables of what he calls, quote, a prep school for thoroughbred racehorses. Horses will spend around 6 to 10 months here learning the fundamentals of handling and racing on their way to a career in the racing industry. Rice says the horses that train here live a pretty luxurious lifestyle as they develop into great competitors.
I would say they are. We spend all of our time caring for them and sometimes omitting the things we need for ourselves, but it's because we love the horses and we love the interaction with them.
Horses trained here have gone on to great careers and have won big races around the world. Now, horses are a big industry here in Louisiana as well. The dollars that go into it directly affect the economy of rural Louisiana. A recent grant is helping get that money into the state, but as TWILA's Neil Melancon tells us, a coalition of horse groups is trying to get more permanent funding.
Horses are a pretty normal sight in rural Louisiana, but funding for equine programs is not quite as common. The state received a grant a few years ago, and that investment has turned a trot into a gallop, according to Dr. Neely Hydron.
The economic impact of that funds into the industry ended up being around $4.4 million, which was over a 2,000% return on investment.
Ben Watson has seen that economic impact firsthand. He says one of the big benefits is bringing in out-of-state dollars into rural areas.
The economic impact that we have as the Cajun Rodeo Association on all 24 of our rodeos is astronomical, because we bring in roughly 375 contestants on a weekend. They rodeo 2 days.
Now there's a new bill in the Louisiana Legislature this session to make funding more permanent. Advocates of the bill say it would make that investment more potent with long-term planning.
The real challenge for us on a national stage is, the major events take years to plan. And so it requires some stability in your funding sources. We couldn't host an event like this without the state's support. And so, having a sustained funding source will allow us to plan some major events, some bigger events that take sometimes 2 and 3 years to get on the calendar, because a lot of these venues don't have the time blocks.
Hydron says beyond the Boost to Horse programs, it's the boost in outreach to the youth of Louisiana.
We're attracting more people to our industry, providing more opportunities. There's a lot more youth engagement. And just having the facilities and the income to support the programs that we've always loved and we've always enjoyed, but now we're able to attract some people that may have not been able to participate previously.
Youth like Charles Grazaffi, who rides rodeo now, but wants to be a vet like his grandfather.
It means a lot to me. It helps all of us get into the world of rodeo, helps us all hang out a lot at the rodeos, all get friends, brings families together.
And that's right from the horse's mouth. Reporting from Ethel, Louisiana, I'm Neil Melanson.
Senate Bill 235 is working its way through the Louisiana Legislature. For more information on it or the efforts of the Louisiana Equine Promotion and Research Board, visit our website at twilatv.org. Despite what Puxatawny Phil may have said, winter is not going down without a fight. Now it's dry this weekend, but what about for the week? Nick Mikulis joins us now with the Farmer's Forecast. Nick?
Thank you so much. It looks like a busy start to the week here, with showers and thunderstorms likely across the state for parts of Monday and Tuesday. With that, there is some severe weather possible, but the good news is after this gets out of here, it looks pretty calm to close out the week and right on into the Easter weekend. And that does mean with the rain falling, we are going to see some drought improvement once again, and we are almost out of that drought across the state entirely, and not a moment too soon here. You can see over the last 30 days here, the driest conditions have lined up where the drought continues here. We have 34% of normal in Leesville, 51% in Alexandria. Plenty of rain falling along I-10 there from Lafayette to New Orleans. So some areas have seen plenty and some areas have not seen enough. Unfortunately, where we're not seeing enough rainfall is in those areas where we still do have that moderate drought in place, or it is just abnormally dry. And I think we do get some help for that here over the next few days, especially again over the beginning of the week. It looks like Monday and Tuesday, anywhere from about a half an inch to 2 inches of rain could fall in the state. Again, this could come with some severe weather as well, so we'll be watching that closely. Beyond this, getting into the weekend, this includes Easter Sunday, it looks pretty tranquil here. Precipitation outlook does not show anything major coming in. I don't see any big troughs headed this way that are going to create big thunderstorms in the area or anywhere across the state for the weekend. It's something to keep an eye on, still a ways away. We will be watching things closely and hoping for a wonderful Easter weekend. Back to y'all.
Thanks, Nick. Still to come on TWILA, local grass-fed beef and a recipe you won't want to skip in this week's Feasting on Agriculture.
You're watching This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
Welcome to Feasting on Agriculture. I'm Kristen Oaks-White, and today we're in Mo, Louisiana at Crescent Bar F Ranch, where they're raising a premium product from start to finish.
Feasting on Agriculture is brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council. Beef, it's what's for dinner, and by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board. Think rice.
Joining me now is Mr. Raymond Fontenot with Crescent Bar F Ranch LLC. When did you start the desire or the practice of wanting to directly market to consumers?
That's a great question, because I was sitting in a LSU Ag Center symposium on grass-fed beef in Alexandria. And this is all grass-fed producers. Mm-hmm. And the question came up by one of the members in the audience, asked the professor, how can you tell the difference between corn-fed and grass-fed beef? And one of the producers stood up and said, very matter-of-factly, grass-fed beef will have no marbling, and it will not be as tender as corn-fed beef. And I'm sitting there, we have cattle at this point when statement was made in Kansas on alfalfa grading choice going into Whole Foods in Colorado. So I'm thinking, what they just said there is what people really believe about Louisiana beef. So at that point, knowing what I knew about premium genetics and premium forage, making a healthy, high in omega-3 fatty acids, no antibiotics, no hormones, it was our duty to try to introduce that to Louisiana. And the best way to do it, in my opinion, is with somebody that knows how to cook it.
So the product that you're marketing to your grass-fed beef to Louisiana consumers, you found a pretty good niche relationship not too far from you at a nice restaurant.
Absolutely. Jason Huguet with Steamboat Warehouse in Washington. I was watching TV and saw his program and reached out to him and just opened up the conversation for him using our beef in his restaurant. And it was, I'm saying, a match made in heaven, because he tried it, loved it, and what we're able to do now is when we process a steer, he'll take all the primals, the high-end cuts for the ribeyes, the tenderloins, the sirloin, and he uses those for his steaks on his menu in his restaurant. So that's a great relationship, and we're going on the second year now in that relationship, and he's a great guy. He's very responsive. He embraces the Louisiana sourced food, and he embraces the farm-to-table aspects of our relationship.
And I'm sure it works out pretty well for him, because he's got a really close partner that is delivering
I say it's
on
a
demand.
win-win, no doubt, a win-win situation. And it just means a lot for me, because I have roots in Washington, and my dad was from St. Landry Parish. I have cousins in that area. And Jason's sincere about, he's not seeing a way to increase his business by saying he's doing this or doing that. When you talk to Jason, you know that it means a lot to him to be using local beef.
When we come back, we're going to head to Washington, Louisiana to Steamboat Warehouse, where Chef Jason Huguet is going to grill up some of this delicious beef. Stay with us. Okay, we're back in the kitchen with Chef Jason. We've got a new recipe, a new variation on the grass-fed beef.
Yes, ma'am. So on this dish, we're going to use Crystal's, my fiance's favorite cut. This is a sirloin.
Okay.
Comes from Mr. Raymond Fontenot's farm. So what we're gonna start here with is a little heavy cream, and we're gonna reduce it. All right, let's season our meat up.
Okay. Basic seasoning.
Basic seasoning, all-purpose seasoning that we make in-house.
Okay.
All right. Let that sear go. Baste it with our butter.
Okay.
Which we also have lemon juice and Worcestershire sauce and a little bit of each.
So you're gonna give me those nice diamond grill marks?
Oh, you're gonna get the diamonds this time. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna add a little bit of clam base.
Okay.
Just a little flavoring. It's very strong as far as
Just a touch.
salt goes.
Okay.
Right? On our menu, we have actually a few different types of steaks that are here every day. We do an 8-ounce ribeye on the top of some like bread, and then we'll smother it with crawfish etouffee. We do another steak dish which is similar to this. We'll take an 8-ounce ribeye, and then we'll take we make our every day we'll make our house-made seafood stuffing, and we'll put some of that on top of that, and then we'll make a Florentine cream sauce like this, and then we'll smother the whole steak with it, and that's probably the biggest seller. See, if I'm doing meat kind of guy. So
you don't like to zhuzh it up?
No, I'm not into all that stuff. Like we're doing today, we want a steak to speak for itself. And this is just gonna complement it. So our sauce is to the point where we're gonna add some of this.
The secret ingredient.
This is a minced onion, bell pepper, tasso, olive oil, and a lot of Italian seasoning.
I'm gonna try to squeak the recipe out of this for you, for us to post.
I can do that for you.
Since it's so top secret.
All right. All right, we're gonna do final flip because we're getting there.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna finish with my coarse ground black pepper as we always do here.
Love it.
And she is done.
Okay.
So to finish our dish, we're gonna put some of this.
So you're not cooking this a whole.
Oh no, this don't take long at all.
Okay.
To finish.
Ooh.
These asparagus we blanched earlier. You want to blanch your asparagus before you do anything. All right. Just gonna get a little color on them, get a little flavor, a little smokiness. Now time for plate. We put our asparagus down first. We want to put the sauce on the bottom. Still get all the flavors and all the sauce, but
that looks excellent, and I'm even more impressed that you did this with 2 seconds notice.
Well, that's what we do. And that's it.
That's beautiful. Jason, Raymond, thank you so much for welcoming us to your farm and to your restaurant for the prime beef and the prime dishes that we're about to enjoy. If you want to learn more about Steamboat Warehouse or Raymond's farm, you can find a link on our website at twilatv.org. Until then, catch us next time on Feasting on Agriculture.
Feasting on Agriculture was brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council, beef, it's what's for dinner, and by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board, think rice.
This past week, March 18th through the 22nd, marked the inaugural Louisiana Ag Week. Now, quite a coincidence that National Ag Day happened during that week. Anyway, chances are your social media was blowing up with videos from farmers, ranchers, and even Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser explaining why Louisiana agriculture is important to them.
My name's Vincent Canatella, and I grow corn, soybeans, sugarcane, and raise cattle in St. Landry Parish on the Atchafalaya River.
My name is Kyle Zenon, and I farm sugarcane in Vermilion Parish.
And I want to thank all the men and women that work so hard in this industry.
There were also a number of youth art contests held in conjunction with Louisiana Ag Week. You can see the winners on our website at twilatv.org. That does it for this edition of TWILA. You can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you'll find all of these stories on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe, turn on those notifications. That way you know when we put something new out. For all of us here at TWILA, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.